You are listening to a podcast from the research project Bioequality. Our project focuses on the intersection between digitalization and gender equality in the Nordic bioeconomy. To learn more about the project, visit nordicforestresearch.org. My name is Annie Roos and I am the host of this podcast. This episode focuses on digitalization and gender equality in networks for testbeds. A testbed in this sector means a space where collaborators work together to introduce a high-tech solution, such as a product or service. For example, a testbed could focus on GPS-controlled farm machines or big data use in dairy farming. In this podcast we have two guests, Kjersti Balke from the Norwegian Institute of Bioeconomy Research and Claus Sørensen from Aarhus University. So, first of all, who are you and what is your role in the network for testbeds? Claus, do you want to start?
Yeah, Claus Sørensen, professor at Aarhus University in the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. And we also been working with developing a center for smart farming. And of course, that's a part of also an international network of you can call it test beds, where we work with testing, developing ICT equipment that also have connections, for example, to EU projects like Smart Agri Hubs project. They are developing digital innovation hubs at the moment. So it's all we're all involved in this network of digitization of agriculture, and especially the testing and quality, and then you make sure that you have the right quality of these technologies.
And Kjersti, who are you and what is your role in the network for testbeds?
I work in the Norwegian Institute of Bioeconomy Research, and my role is I am the leader of our Center for Precision Agriculture. So at our center, we mainly do research projects where we demonstrate and use and test the solutions that we have made, both used on our based on our own research, but also based on other commercially available technologies. So this is maybe one of the things that we do, which is mostly related to this testbed category of activities.
Good, great, Thank you. So interesting work, I must say. So how do you think digitalization is affecting the bioeconomy? Kjersti, what are your thoughts on that?
I think in agriculture, we see that digital solutions are becoming an increasing part of everyday life. And when working with precision agriculture, we accumulate a large amount of data, which needs to be handled in an efficient manner in order to become useful to the farmer. We see that many of the large tractor and implement manufacturers have been working to build sort of their own universes in which they want their users to be. Sometimes that is limiting interaction with other solutions. But lately we have seen some indications, I think, that this might be changing, and maybe there is a growing realization that interaction between different technologies and services will be a benefit both for the users and for the technology providers. So I think digitalization is providing the actors in the bioeconomy sectors with more tools to do what they actually need to do, because as with all other types of technology, digitalization technology is also just a help, a tool to do what you actually want to do in a better way. So in this case, agronomy, which is what we are working with.
Claus, have you seen the same things in your sector, or what are your thoughts on the digitalization?
Yeah, I think we can start by saying that digitalization tools, or what you call them, that they are not the end solutions. They are the tools. They are tools that help us managing the agri-food systems in a much more efficient way than before. In agriculture, we have always been, many years, been focused very much on making things more efficient. And and we have had different tools to do that. But now we have even more efficient tools that from ICT, where you have a complete and up to updated you have complete and updated knowledge on what's going on in the production system online, and that can really help you, or can help you make immediate management decisions. But it can also provide you with some tools where you can predict what would happen with your system if you implemented a new technology or something, because you can make precise scenario simulations, etc. So that's one thing, the efficiency. That's something that digitalization help us with. But it can also help us with complying with all the new demands from sustainability, climate challenge, etc. Because you can also manage diversity on the farm. That digitalization can also help us with.
And how would you say it can help us with that?
If we take precision farming, until now it's about doing it efficiently, reduce resource inputs, but in a very standardized way, make it as efficient as possible. But you could also turn it a little around and say, okay, maybe you find out that certain part of the fields do not respond to, for example, increased nitrogen application. So that part of the field could be set aside for biodiversity purposes, etc. So it's actually you're using the same tools, but you are turning it a little around, and you have a different goal of your precision farming system. And I think there are some indications that other researchers are working in that direction also. So I think that's something we will see. And I think that's a very interesting aspect.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Kjersti, do you want to add something there?
Not really. I agree. And I think that we are just starting to see the types of uses that we can make of all the information that we collect, and the manners in which to put the information into action. So I think that what we are doing with precision application of fertilizer and other factors that you put into your agriculture production, this is just the start. I think there are more things to come.
So now we're moving a little bit away from the digitalization and focusing a little bit more on gender equality before, in the end, we're going to tie them together. So is gender equality in the bioeconomy something that you think about in your daily work in the networks or in the test beds?
To be honest, for me, it's not something that I think about on a daily basis. I have noticed that in the more technology-oriented part of the sector, there seems to be an overweight of men. And also in the user group that we work with mostly, which mainly are farmers, there is also an overweight of men. I have not done any thorough research on this, but I am under the impression that the equipment used in agriculture is mainly designed for men. In many cases, I don't think it would make a large difference if it was designed for men or women. But for instance, when it comes to ergonomics, there could be some differences.
And Claus, what about you in your network of test beds?
Yeah, I think it's more or less the same take on that. It's not something to think about so much in daily work. Of course, when we design new projects, for example, EU projects, there are demands that we draft a gender plan, etc. But of course, you can observe that in the pure engineering, education and research and digitalization, specifically when you're talking about pure development of the technology, there is an overweight of men involved. But I also think that if you connect the digitalization technology with the green transition, for example, And that's something that we're going to see in the future. I think there is a more equal balance because there are more women interested in the sustainability part of it and the green transition, where also the social impacts, etc. So I think there the overweight of men is not so obvious.
Yeah. So now Claus talked a bit about how, like, thinking of gender equality when you formed your network, like when you apply for money, there's certain things you have to sort of conform to. Yeah, and Kjersti, is that something that you also have experienced when you form your networks?
Yes, we have also seen this when we write applications and things like that. But so we, of course, try to do what we need for that. But also we have to work with the resources that we have. And sometimes we do not have an unlimited choice of people who can do the work. So it's sometimes it feels more like a theoretical exercise than something which actually makes a huge difference. But maybe over time it will have an impact.
Yeah, interesting. And Claus, you seem to agree here.
Yeah,
what's your take on this?
Completely.
Yeah,
Because there is only a limited number of people to involve and with the right competences. So, yeah, that's the problem.
yeah.
Or that's the issue anyway, or the challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, so coming to the next question of how you work with gender equality in your network, I think we have covered it quite a lot, that it becomes, like you say, something that you have to do sometimes, but it's something, it's like a second thing you work with. The test beds or the technology is the important thing.
Yeah.
Am I correct there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any more thoughts on that?
Well, as an engineer myself, I have worked in a lot of different places which there have been more men than women. And I have never seen that as a problem. But still, I think that you get the best working environments if you have more or less a balanced combination. So I think this is something that we should try to achieve. But we also have to make sure that we have the competences that we need. So
it seems to be a hard balance, a real struggle in your daily lives in that sense for both of you, to try to fill all the boxes.
Yeah, but still, it's not a challenge that I spend so much time thinking about. It's
Okay, so then what effect do you think digitalization of the bioeconomy will have on gender equality within the sector, drawing the two different parts together? Who wants to start? Claus, maybe?
Again, if you are thinking purely on the technology side, on the digitization and how to develop the technologies, the coding, the programming, then there's a gender imbalance. But I think combining it with the new challenges that we see in terms of sustainability, green transition, and other things, I think that will help achieving gender equality. Because as I said before, when you come from the green transition, sustainability, social impact side, I think more women are interested in that area, and that could sort of combine with the more pure technology development. So I think that would help.
Kjersti, what are your take on this?
I agree with Claus, I think. I think it's also important that when, because this digitalization, it is not only about us making solutions and doing research, it's also about the people who will use it in the end. So I think that keeping all genders in mind when designing solutions for the digital bioeconomy will probably be wise. Although I can't see exactly how gender-specific needs will be a factor making material impact to these solutions. But we could be surprised. And also, I think if done wisely, digitalization may contribute to increased gender equality, in the sense that it is introducing more varied areas of expertise into the sector, and that it allows for more varied types of competence to be a part of it. So, yeah.
Do you have anything further that you want to bring up? Any further reflections on these two topics?
I also very much agree with this, that these new challenges that we have with it's very multidisciplinary, and sometimes we talk about a complete new technology understanding, because in the past you had a new technology and you just replaced it with the old one. You sort of, it was plug and play. But we have seen that does not work when you talk about digitization, because digitization affects the complete production system, complete human system, etc. So the development of these technologies has to be done in cooperation with the user, with other stakeholders. Otherwise, we will never get these systems and new technologies implemented. We see that we have a lot of new technologies out there, but the adoption is lacking behind. So, and this combined co-design, or what you call it, will require so many more different people involved in the process, and that might also affect the gender equality.
Yeah. Any more to add on that, Kjersti?
Well, one thing that I thought about, but it's maybe a bit on the side, but when we talk about these topics and how digitalization and information that we collect can help us do smarter things, which are maybe better for nature, biodiversity, climate, and things like that, what we have to keep in mind is that the person who are using these tools to achieve these goals are often the farmers who have their own economic operation going. So we have to find ways to make sure that there is benefit to all parties in this, so that if not, it will be difficult to get adoption of these technologies and solutions maybe. So it's a bit complicated. Maybe it's policy questions, maybe it's other types of questions, but it's in some cases the benefit to society is not always a direct benefit to the person using the technology. And by that I don't mean that farmers don't care about these things, but they also have to make a living. So yeah,
it's a lot of goals that needs to be balanced, both for you and for the user. Yeah. Do you want to add something there, Claus?
No.
No? Okay. If you don't have anything more, then I guess we can stop the recordings.
You have listened to a podcast from the research project Bioequality. To hear our other episode and find our education material linked to this podcast, visit nordicforestresearch.org. This podcast is made in collaboration with Agris Media.